Greetings, everyone. Assalamu alaikum and namaste to all of you who are listening. Today is an important day, a turning point in India's history. Today, Hindu nationalism, the Hindutva movement, has not only succeeded in crushing India's secularism, India's pluralism, and India's democracy, but has also crushed the fundamental principles of the Hindu faith. Today, the Hindu movement celebrates a grand victory. This religio-nationalist movement has achieved two out of its three major goals. The Hindu nationalist movement started even before India became independent, but it was a very tiny movement in the 1930s, 1940s. Their only achievement was the assassination of Gandhi by one of their heroes called Nathuram Godse. But since the 1980s, and especially in the 1990s, the Hindu nationalist movement has gathered momentum to such an extent that today it is the dominant political and ideological vision in India. Hindu nationalism was able to mobilize the Hindu vote bank, radicalize the Hindu population by essentially promising three things. Number one, the destruction of Babri Masjid and the construction of Ram Temple in its place. Number two, the elimination of the only Muslim majority state in India, Kashmir, by revocation of the Article 370 of the Indian Constitution. Today, on August 5th, 2020, and exactly a year after 370 was revoked, the foundation stone for the Ram Temple has also been laid. So the Hindu nationalist movement has achieved two of its three goals. I guess the future elections will be won on the promise of their third goal, which is to disenfranchise Muslims and other religious minorities. The third goal will be achieved through a combination of two policies/laws. One is the National Registry of Citizenship, and the other is the Citizenship Amendment Act. The NRC and CAA combined together are designed to disenfranchise Muslims, to make them second-class citizens. So what are we going to be left with? We are going to be left with a Hindu state, a Ram Rajya. But ironically, we have to understand two things. What is religion and what is ideology? Religion is about two things primarily. One, it is a bridge to God, to something bigger than ourselves. It is the connection between the human and the divine. And the second thing about religion is that it is a fountain. It is a depository of values. It shapes our identity. It makes individual human beings and their societies better and more beautiful. So religion is about connecting to God, and religion is about making societies and individuals better. Ideology, on the other hand, is also about two things. One, about acquiring power, and number two, using power. But when religion and ideology come together, as they do in Hindutva, you take Hinduism and you take a nationalist ideology filled with hatred towards minorities and filled with grandiose supremacist ideas, and you have Hindutva. So when this religion and ideology it makes religion very ugly. And this is not something which is new with Hindutva. Even in the Muslim community, we have seen the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, and ISIS. They took Islam and added ideology to it, and guess what you were left with? Terrorism. Hindutva is no different. It is the ideological corruption of Hinduism, with all the attendant ugliness that goes with religion as ideology. It is not about God and liberation. It is about power and oppression. Ironically, it is not just Indian Muslims or Indian culture or Indian secularism or the rule of law that is being crushed to give birth to Hindu India. Core Hindu values are also the victims of Hindutva ideology, and I'll explain in a bit. But before that, I must also tell you that Hindutva will not only suppress religious diversity in India by marginalizing Muslims and Christians and people who do not fall under the big umbrella of Hinduism, but it will also eliminate the diversity within Hinduism itself. Hindutva will eliminate the diversity within Hinduism itself. Hindutva is about one God, Ram, one language, Hindi, and one country, Bharat. There is no room for Ganesh or Venkatesh or other Hindu gods. So what's going to happen to Venkatesh or Ganesh once Ram becomes the king of Bharat? Ironically, I think the other Hindu gods are going to become like Muslims, second-class citizens of Ram Rajya. There are many casualties that have suffered this journey as Hindutva began to dominate Indian politics. Number one, the end of India's secular ethos. India is no more a secular country. The Prime Minister of India is building temples, and I don't even know whether they are government funds or not. The second thing is the irreparable damage to India's independent judiciary, an important element of any democracy. The decision that the Supreme Court passed with regards to the Babri Masjid was not based on facts, but on religious beliefs. In one stroke, they eliminated science, history, and independent judiciary, and essentially became a subservient entity to the vision of Ram Rajya. Without an independent judiciary, you cannot have a democracy. Hindutva has also damaged India's image abroad. While it may have consolidated power for the Hindu nationalists at home, it has damaged India's image abroad. People are now looking with horror at what is happening in Kashmir, the human rights violations all across the country, the lynching of Muslims. All of these things are clearly indicative that Hindu nationalism is eliminating India and reducing its prestige in the eyes of the international community. It's going to have a population of 200 Muslims who are going to feel alienated and marginalized. They have nowhere to go. It's a huge population. How can India become great if such a big segment of that population remains underdeveloped and oppressed? And then, of course, these two important principles of Hinduism itself, which are now damaged by Hindutva. Number one, Sarva Dharma Samabhava. This is the Hindu belief that all religions lead to the same God. It is the fundamental basis of India's pluralism. This idea that all religions are equal and all pathways are deserving of equal freedom and equal respect. But in this Ram Rajya, will all other gods and all other religions get the same respect they did under secular India? I don't think so. Today's temple construction is a blow against the Hindu belief of Sarva Dharma Samabhava, a fatal blow perhaps to India's pluralistic culture. The real name of Hinduism is Sanatana Dharma. It means eternal rules, eternal principles, or eternal law. If I were to translate Sanatana Dharma into Arabic, I would say Sharia. That is what is the real name of Hinduism. And the 5 goals of Sanatana Dharma are very interesting. I mean, there are many, but the 5 that seem to be most important are that a devout Hindu is expected to perform obligatory duties towards nourishing gods, nourishing ancestors, nourishing needy human beings, nourishing other living beings, and serving the seers and Brahmins. But is Rama Rajya, this Hindu nationalist vision, going to nourish all other gods? I don't know. If I was a devotee of Ganesha, I would be very, very worried. Is Hindutva going to nourish all the needy human beings in India today? I don't know. You should ask the poor people who suffered from COVID, all the migrant workers who walked thousands of miles while Modi watched and did nothing. He's too busy with the plans for a Ram temple to take care of the poor and the needy. And of course, nourishing the needy human beings and other living beings. I'm not very sure. I think, given the overwhelming majority of Hindutva advocates in India, there will be a Hindu nation. But I'm not sure whether it is good for India, whether it's good for all other Hindus, whether it is good for the religion of Hinduism. And I know this much, it is not good for other minorities, Muslims, Christians, and otherwise. Today is a turning point in Indian history, and I invite Hindus who care about their principles, about Sanatana Dharma, who care above the pluralist values of Hinduism, which says that all religions have equal values, to not go down the path. Let not India become an Afghanistan. Let India not become like Iraq or Syria under ISIS. India is a great civilization, a great country with tremendous potential. Let's not sacrifice it in pursuit of cheap electoral